baking. I like working with food and, feeling the heat of the oven and things like that, and the physicality of actual baking. And it's also nice because it's a creative outlet, which is, I think really essential for the human spirit.
Too often I thought people who were working in progressive organizations, we were trying to protest other things and stop other things, but we weren't trying to build an alternative to that. And to really have a democratic society, we have to have the people who have the democratic values be able to produce bread and be able to produce bicycles and books and the things that we need.
I like having a say in how the business is run. I think that when people share ownership, they take ownership. I've worked a lot of places that are very top-down organizations, and I think that there can be value to that, in that decisions can be made quickly, stuff like that. But here it's not like that. Everyone has an equal say in how the business is run.
Everyone's really invested in the work they do, and everyone really steps up when that investment and dedication is there. And I think that probably is the biggest difference from any other job I've ever had.
We all make the same amount of money. I've been here 13, 14 years, but if someone were to be a member tomorrow, they would make the exact same wage that I do. They have the same amount of voting say at the meetings. It's one person, one vote.
There too. Some people it's an immediate fit, and that's just part of their core personality type. They're vocal, they can communicate really easily, they're willing to give feedback, they're willing to receive feedback, and other people that have to learn over time that they have a voice.
What I really get excited about is when we hire people who have never really been listened to in their jobs before. They've never been expected to give ideas, they've never been given any feedback that their ideas were worthwhile. So here they come in and people are listening to their ideas and they have an opportunity to learn new skills. And you see a confidence grow in them that I think then spills out into other aspects of their lives. There are no managers. If anything, everyone's a manager. That doesn't mean that we just make all decisions sitting around in a group. We actually delegate a lot of things out.
I'm interested in finance, and I think I'm pretty strong with numbers and Excel databases from my previous job backgrounds. So I just elected to be on finance, and then based on which committees had needs for a certain number of people, you kind of get maybe assigned a committee.
Each committee is responsible for different aspects of the business. So for example, finance is responsible for making sure that payroll is done and that all of our vendors are paid on time. And production makes sure that all of our products are looking great and that when we introduce new products, there's a system for that.
The largest cooperative is still the Original Cheese Board. They do about $6 million a year in business, and the mature cooperatives are breaking about $2 million a year. Starting pay is $12 an hour. We provide health insurance for everyone. For one of our mature cooperatives that's been in business for a while, the pay range is about $30 an hour. So that takes into account wages, benefits, and profit sharing. The buy-in is $5,000 to begin with. That's $1,000 in cash or $500 in cash, and the rest can be done through payroll deductions.
We kind of wear two hats here. Like sometimes we act as workers and sometimes we act as owners. And as a worker, you want to have the highest wage possible. But as an owner, you realize that for the sake of the bakery, like if sales go down, then perhaps we need to be paid less.
I think it's a great place to learn what democracy means. And you realize that you're here for the long term, and what really matters is not just like that immediate, decision you made today, but it's like ramifications down the road. Maybe when I started, I was a little more idealistic about, we're all going to get along, it's like really great, we're going to own a business together, and the reality is structure really does help keep things in check.
Through the democratic consensus process, it takes a lot of work. And if the group is really swaying over to one side, sometimes it takes a moment to go, okay, actually, I'm going to follow suit because there's a greater momentum. There's
always going to be conflict, and I think that As opposed to normal businesses that aren't cooperatives, there might even be a little bit more conflict on the surface. Just because in other businesses, if you have a problem with someone, you can just go to your boss and they can solve your problem, or they can try to work towards solving your problem. But here, we're all on the same footing, so you really have to work out your issues with each other.
Decision making, you know, it can take a little while. It could take a little while on a lot of issues. Sometimes, you know, everyone's on the same page and it's great. Like you feel like, hey, like we're good, we're all unified. But then every now and again, you know, it gets contentious. So.
In most jobs, you're used to having someone looking over your shoulder. In this case, you may have 20 people looking over your shoulder, which can be a lot of pressure in the beginning. And then as you grow into the business as a member and a worker owner, that dissipates and you are working collectively and as a group. And so you have to be very self-motivated and self-disciplined, because if you don't do it, somebody else may not do it. So there's more accountability and so on that you have to take on as an individual to be part of a team.
Swallowing your pride and listening to others and compromising and not always getting your way is a really big part of, you know, being in a co-op. And for certain personalities, it's not really, that's not gonna happen. I personally believe that, like, no one's perfect, and it's really great to have different points of view and come together. And it's not solely yours; it's everyone's, and it's that in itself is kind of a beautiful thing.